your boy Trinity Wolf, and welcome to the deck profile of the Ancient Gears from Yu-Gi-Oh! Day episode 15. Well, funny enough, you guys, a long time ago, I came out with a Ancient Gear deck profile, and I think still to this day that it is my most popular video that I've released. Me right now recording this isn't quite positive, but when I edit the video, you'll see on the well, pretty much on the screen that it's still my most popular video since its release. So I think it's time to finally, you know, update the deck profile since however many months ago that was. But anyway, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, please destroy that subscribe button. We are on the march for our 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so I can release this special edition playmat for you guys when I hit 1,000 subscribers, and you will be able to take part in that when you purchase it, because I will only make so many of them limited, and it being the very first, and it's gonna have like, you know, 1,000 like on it, so it's like you're like a part of being the first of the 1,000 loyal subscribers I had. And you know, it'll be marked down in history essentially. So anyway, guys, let's go ahead and get started with this deck profile. So I'm gonna get started with talking about it already. There was a lot of things that I was experimenting with the deck while in Yu-Gi-Oh! Day episode 15. If you guys not have seen that, it'll be the latest video up in Yu-Gi-Oh! Day season if you check out in the playlist. But it'll probably be the video right behind this one. So if you haven't seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Day episode 15, where we played Ancient Gears through this new tier 0 format essentially, feel free to check that out. So anyway, guys, first we're gonna start off with, oh sorry, that was the wrong one. Start off with 2 Ancient Gear Golems. Funny enough, however, I am gonna change this, but as you can see, we have the beautiful ultimate rare, which is really hard to get in Speed Duel Secret Rare. But anyway, reason why I'm going to change this is I was experimenting with either Pot of Extravagance and Pot of Extrav and Desires. So with Desires, I wanted to have 2, just so if I banish one, I still have a chance of seeing the other one. But with Extrav, it wasn't really a problem. So I think I'm liking. I'm still debating on which pot card to use, but for this deck profile, we have 2 Ancient Gear Golems. For our next big beat sticks, 2 Ancient Gear Reactor Dragons. I love this card. Being able to use it multiple times during the battle phase is amazing. If you attack with one and destroy Gear Town, you just special summon the other one and attack with it as well. And one of the best boss monsters is basically Reactor Dragon. And then of course we have our triple copies of Ancient Gear Wyvern. Sorry if you guys can't see it, it's a little blurry there. A little shiny. But yeah, Ancient Gear Wyvern, triple copies. This basically is the only card we have that can basically just search anything in our deck. So always gonna have to play 3 of that until hopefully they release more cards for us. 2 copies of Ancient Gear Frame, of course, 1 Hunting Hound, and 1 Box, so that way we can use Box to search for Frame. So that is it for our Ancient Gear monsters, and on to kind of the rest of our engine. We got 2 super heavy express bullet trains. Sorry enough, I turned that light off because it was like just butchering the cards. But yeah, 2 heavy express bullet trains, just because free special summon and we can get an Earth Machine back during the end phase. The heavy freight train, when we get a normal summon, basically allows the special summon itself as well, so another extender. And my favorite card, even though I would play more of this if it wasn't once per duel, but Magical Hound was another way we can get rid of spells and traps. So for those of you who don't know this card, yeah, this card is in your hand or graveyard. You can target one face-up spell or trap your opponent controls, return it to the hand, and if you do, special summon this card. You can only use this effect of Magic Hound once per duel. So Maybe if we get some kind of synchro monster, maybe we can do something with that. But yeah, it's an Earth machine. Yeah, sorry, it's an Earth machine that, you know, we get the special summon free, and we can get rid of the floodgate, or just sadly enough, it does have to be a face-up spell and trap, but most people are having face-up spells and traps nowadays, so one magical hound. And then to round it up for our monsters, just 2 copies of Ash Blossom. Funny enough, in the last deck profile I did for this, I was like, you don't need hand traps, but with this meta, you're gonna need them. That was it for our monsters. Now on to our spell cards. We're gonna start off with triple copies of Ancient Gear Fortress. It's funny, in the past, when I've seen deck profiles for this deck, people have played maybe 1 or 2 copies of this card. And for me, I'm just like, why would you not want to play multiple copies of a card that allows your opponent not to be able to respond to your cards? So definitely triple copies of Fortress. Onto another 3 of triple copies of Urgent Schedule. This card is absolutely free when going second. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, which they will, you get the special summon 2 Earth Machines basically for free. And if this card is destroyed, you get to add a level 10 Earth Machine monster. Now, the pot of Extrav is still a debate between this card or Desires. But for the video, I did Extravagance for an experiment because I never had this card from the time before then to test it. But I feel like Desires might be better just because there's a higher chance of getting rid of your boss monsters with this card. And at least with Desires, you still have a high chance of being able to get to your extra deck. This card kind of cuts it, so it's just kind of like pick your poison. It's either take the chance of getting rid of your boss monsters, or take the chance of banishing the resources to get to your boss monster. So it's kind of like you can play either or, but I tried Extra this time. Now on to double copies of Ancient Gear Catapult. This card is really good, except, you know, if you already have, it kind of sucks in a later game if you have monsters on field because you have to control no cards to use this effect, but it does have a graveyard effect where you can banish it and pop a card, so it's kind of good. I do want to experiment eventually. Maybe tier elements could maybe work with Ancient Gears, just try to get them in the grave and fuse to make our boss monsters in OTK per game. You know, tier elements dumping this card in the grave and popping the field spell or whatever. So you never know. I'll experiment someday. And then of course, for our fusions, double Ancient Gear fusion, 1 Overload fusion, which harder enough to get. This card's a lot harder to resolve now because we don't have Verte Anaconda to easily dump it for us. So you kind of just have to pray you see it in your hand. And then last but not least, 2 copies of Super Polymerization. Normally I would never put this card in Ancient Gears, but considering the kind of format we're facing against, you kind of need to see Super Poly against these tier element players. So that was it for our fusion-based spells. Onto our field spells. Obviously, triple copies of Gear Town. We have multiple ways of getting this card, either with our Link Monster or Terraforming and just opening it up. So, of course, it's not once per turn, so when it gets destroyed, you're just free extending. 1 copy of Mystic Mine. Yeah, go ahead and laugh about it in the comments. Be like, oh, you play Mine in this deck? Well, think about what kind of deck this is, dude. Like, we're not playing like a tier 1, 2, or even a 3 deck. This card is only for being able to stall just a little bit, not for a long time. It's to stall or use as bait for a negate to get the resources you need, or just to help you get your Gear Town on the field with either Terraforming and the set rotation, because in order to use set rotation you gotta have 2 different field spells, so might as well be Mine, right? So it's like, I can either get my town or Mystic Mine them. Because funny enough, if you give them the town and you Mystic Mine yourself, so they can't play for a turn, if you eventually get a Reactor Dragon, you can use Reactor Dragon to destroy their gear town that they control now, and then you get the special summon a monster. So that's it for our field spells, basically. One Sky Striker Hornet Drones. Funny enough, Sky Strikers have a Earth Machine Link monster. So starting off, you can activate this, you get your token, and summon Kaina. And that's a free, that's literally a free Earth Machine. This is basically an Earth Machine monster you got for free. So that's how I see it. Our funny one card tech choices. I mean, Call By is not really a tech choice, but Call By, one Eclipse and one Foolish Burial Goods. Funny enough, I wanted to play more copies of this card, but for some reason, I could not find my other copies. And I know for a fact I have a gazillion copies of this card and I can't find them anywhere. So, funny enough, one Eclipse. And the goods basically just to dump our Catapult to the grave. Last for our spells, 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talents. Our opponents, funny enough, with Fortress, they may not be able to respond during the main phase, but just in case you get ashed before any of that stuff happens, either draw 2 or take control of the card. Triple Tactics is definitely going to be a must-of. Probably might bump it up to 3 just because tier elements, they're going to be activating effects during the main phase, so definitely want to play this card. And then last for our traps, just 2 copies of Impermanence. You mostly just want to see this in your opening hand when your opponent's going first, because due to the effect of Wyvern, if we had to go first, you would make sure you'd want to set this card first, because stupidly enough, Ancient Gear Wyvern has an effect where if you activate its effect, you cannot set cards for the rest of the turn, which I don't know why it has a silly effect like that, but because it'd be stupid. It's kind of dumb because the fact that Wyvern can search for, you know, Ancient Gear spells and traps as well. If you search for an Ancient Gear trap, you can't even set it that turn, so it's kind of dumb how they gave that card that effect. But anyway, guys, that was it for our monsters. On to our extra deck. Of course, we're playing double copies of Ancient Gear Ballista. This card gets us our Gear Town or an Ancient Gear monster, and, you know, pop in Mega Monster 0, gets a free extend, and essentially that's what Ballista does. So hopefully in the future, maybe we get maybe like a Link 1 monster, or maybe like even a Link 3 that has some power behind it. So hopefully, we can only pray, because Konami just forgets about this deck. 1 Sky Striker Ace Kaina. Like I said before, pretty much the Hornet Drones is a free Earth Machine monster. Link Karibo and Appaloosa. Appaloosa got the chance to come out one time. There's plenty of times where I feel like I could have made this card, but I forgot about it actually existing in my deck, because you want to be able to play Link Karibo just because we have the fact that we can make a level 1 monster with the Catapult and gives us a free Link monster on the board. So definitely want to play 1 Link Karibo, and Appaloosa is there. Fusion monsters. Double, oops, there's a 3rd card there. Double Ancient Gear Howitzer. Stall for, kind of stall. Burns for 1,000. It's unaffected by everything, and if they destroy it, you get a special summon monster ignoring summoning conditions. And who doesn't want to be able to do that, right? So double Howitzer, double Chaos Giant. This is basically our boss monster for the deck. Unaffected by spells and traps. Your opponent can't activate monsters during the battle phase. Does piercing and attacks everything. So this card is our boss monster. This is basically the kill switch. You know, this is basically what allows us to. If your opponent sees this, most of the time, the game is going to be over. So 2 copies of that, just because we don't want to banish it with extra. Funny enough, last Ancient Gear monster is Ancient Gear Golem. Ultimate Ancient Gear Golem, sorry. Funny, I kind of was missing this guy right here. He was supposed to be in the deck. I kind of forgot about him, and there was one time where he needed to come up, but honestly, his effect is kind of booty cheeks compared to all the other Ancient Gear monsters, because if you're not using multiple golems, he's kind of useless. He's only good for when he dies, he brings this one out, but I would recommend if you can squeeze this in the deck, definitely put it in there, because you never know when the situation would come up, and you might need it. So this was not in the deck, you guys, but I suggest you find some wiggle room to put it in there. And our one Red Eyes Dragoon, like I said, you guys didn't see any of the Red Eyes stuff in the main deck, but funny, I side deck the Red Eyes package because we want to go second. So we're in a format where everybody wants to go first. So if they win the die roll, they're gonna go first most of the time. Like probably like 80% of the time they're gonna go first. So I don't want to have the Red Eye stuff in my deck just to break with it, because I don't want to have to play the Red Eyes Fusion and then that's all I have to sit on for the rest of the time. So we side deck the Red Eyes package, our Super Poly stuff, Mud Dragon of the Swamp, the bird thing, and Tragos Stapelia. And the card I'd probably cut for Mega Clops would be Abyss Dweller. I mean, we can easily make Abyss Dweller, no problem, you know, urgent schedule. And this probably won't come up too much, because if we're going second, we're gonna want to go for our Ancient Gear plays to kill. So urgent schedule is really the only way to special summon one of the level 4s and then a normal summon. You know, they have to have a monster, of course. So this was just in case for like the grind game situation, but I would definitely cut this for our Mega Clops. So other than that, guys, if you guys enjoyed this deck profile, please destroy that like button and also the subscribe button. Like I said before, we're on the march for our 1K subscribers. I will be returning to you guys with some hero power against this tier 0 format. It's time for me to make my appearance against this tier 0 format, supposedly is what they call it, with, you know, heroes, because I feel like we can absolutely destroy the meta with heroes this format. So anyway, guys, that's gonna be pretty much just it. So this is gonna be Trinity Wolf signing out, and I will see you guys in the next video.